Welcome to Monk's Temple. Let us begin by simply noticing where you are right now. Perhaps you are lying in bed, the soft fabric of your pillow against your cheek. Perhaps you are sitting in a chair, the weight of your body pressing down. Wherever you are, you have arrived exactly where you need to be. There is a reason you clicked on this video. Something inside you whispered that perhaps there is another way to live. That whisper is the most authentic part of you reaching out, searching for home. In the Buddhist tradition, we speak often of the nature of the mind. The mind, in its natural state, is said to be clear and peaceful, like a calm lake on a windless morning. But most of us do not experience our minds this way. Most of us experience our minds as a washing machine during the spin cycle. Thoughts churn. Worries bubble up. Soon we are caught in a storm that feels impossible to escape. This experience has a name. We call it overthinking. In psychology, it is called rumination, a word that originally described how cows chew their cud, bringing the same food up again and again. This is exactly what the overthinking mind does. It takes a painful thought and chews on it endlessly, providing no nourishment, only exhaustion. The Buddha spoke of this tendency over 2,000 years ago. He described a mind trapped in what he called the thicket of views, a dense tangle of mental undergrowth that holds us prisoner. He taught that the human mind grasps at things, trying to control every aspect of experience. This grasping is the root of suffering. We are not thinking our thoughts. Our thoughts are thinking us. Let me share a story. There was once a young woman named Anika who lived near an ancient forest monastery. Anika was known for her intelligence, but she carried a secret burden. At night, when the village grew quiet, her mind would come alive. It would replay conversations from the day. Did I say the wrong thing? Then it would move to the future. What if they ask me a question I cannot answer? Then it would move to the past, pulling up embarrassing memories. These thoughts would circle until Anika felt as though she was drowning. One day, Anika walked to the monastery. She found an old monk sweeping leaves and asked to speak with someone about the torment in her mind. The monk smiled and invited her to sit beneath a large Bodhi tree. He listened as Anika poured out the contents of her restless mind. When she finally fell silent, exhausted, the monk asked a simple question. Anika, when you are lying in bed and these thoughts arise, where are you? Anika was confused. I am in my bed. The monk nodded. And where are the thoughts? In my mind. And where is your mind? In my head, I suppose. The monk smiled. These thoughts that trouble you so much, can you touch them? Can you show them to me? Anika realized she could not. The thoughts felt so real, but they had no physical existence. The monk continued. In our tradition, we say that thoughts are like visitors who come to a house. They knock on the door, and they enter. But somewhere along the way, you have forgotten that you are the owner of the house. You have started treating these visitors as if they are the owners. You let them stay as long as they want. And soon the house is so full of visitors that you cannot find a place to sit in your own home. This teaching changed something in Anika. She began to understand that her problem was not the thoughts themselves. Thoughts will always arise. The mind is designed to think, just as the heart is designed to beat. The problem was that she had forgotten she was the owner. The thoughts were just visitors. And visitors can be shown the door. If this story resonates with you, if you have ever felt like a visitor in your own mind, please consider subscribing to Monk's Temple. We explore these ancient pathways to peace together. The great psychologist Viktor Frankl wrote, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response." For most of us, when a thought arises, there is no space. The thought says, "You are a failure," and we become a failure. There is no gap. But what the Buddha taught, and what modern psychology confirms, is that this gap can be cultivated. It can be grown like a muscle. Mindfulness is nothing more than creating space between a thought and our response to it. In that space, we remember that we are the sky, not the weather. So this is where we begin. Not with a technique to stop thoughts, but with a recognition. You are not your thoughts. Thoughts are just visitors. The owner of the house still lives there. Let us sit with this. You are not your thoughts. The voice in your head that constantly worries is just a voice. But behind that voice, there is awareness itself. There is the one who notices the voice. That awareness is closer to who you truly are than any thought could ever be. In the coming parts, we will explore how to strengthen this awareness. But for now, rest in the simple recognition that you are the sky, not the storm. The storm will pass. It always does. The sky remains. Thank you for sitting with me here at Monk's Temple. In our time together, we established a foundation. We recognize that you are not your thoughts. You are the sky, not the storm. Today, we move deeper into this understanding. We explore the first practical skill in transforming your relationship with the overthinking mind. We learn to identify the triggers. Imagine you are a botanist exploring a dense forest. You notice that certain plants only grow in specific conditions. Ferns appear near water. Moss gathers on the north side of trees. Mushrooms emerge after rain. Every plant has a trigger, a specific set of circumstances that causes it to appear. Your overthinking is no different. It does not arise randomly. It has patterns. It has preferences. It has specific conditions that welcome it in. The Buddha taught that everything arises based on causes and conditions. Nothing appears without a reason. This is the law of dependent origination, a fancy term for a simple truth. If you want to understand anything, look at what feeds it. Look at what precedes it. Look at what creates the conditions for it to thrive. Let me share a story about this. There was once a businessman named Raj who traveled frequently between cities. He was successful by any external measure. He had money, status, a beautiful family. But Raj carried an invisible weight. His mind never stopped. He would lie in hotel rooms at night, staring at the ceiling, his brain running through endless scenarios. Did I handle that negotiation correctly? What will my competitors do next? Is my marriage okay? What if the market shifts? What if? One day, during a layover, Raj found himself sitting next to an old monk at an airport. The monk was completely still, completely peaceful, while chaos swirled around them. Passengers rushed past. Announcements blared. Luggage carts clattered. But the monk sat like a mountain. Raj was fascinated. He introduced himself and asked the monk how he could remain so calm in the middle of so much noise. The monk looked at Raj kindly and asked, "Young man, when does your mind become most noisy? Is it in the morning? Is it at night? Is it at work? Is it at home? Raj thought about this. He realized that his mind became most active in hotel rooms. Specifically, at night, in hotel rooms, when he was alone, away from his family, with nothing to do but wait for sleep. The monk nodded. You have discovered something important. You have discovered the soil in which your overthinking grows. Now you know where to focus your attention. This is the first practical step. You must become a detective in your own life. You must investigate the conditions that invite overthinking to take a seat in your mind. For some people, the trigger is a specific time. The middle of the night is a classic one. The world is quiet. There are no distractions. And the mind, sensing an opportunity, begins its work. It pulls up old regrets. It creates future disasters. It runs unchecked because there is nothing else demanding your attention. For others, the trigger is a specific person. Perhaps there is someone in your life whose very presence makes you feel small, judged, insecure. After interacting with them, your mind becomes a courtroom, putting every word you spoke on trial. Did I sound stupid? Did I offend them? Why did I say that? For others, the trigger is a specific activity. Scrolling through social media. Checking email before bed. Having a glass of wine alone. These activities seem harmless, but for the overthinking mind, they become open doors. Here is what you must understand. The trigger is not the problem. The trigger is just a trigger. It is like a doorway. Your overthinking is like a guest who walks through that doorway. The guest is the problem, not the door. But if you do not know which doors the guest uses, you cannot be ready when they arrive. In Buddhist psychology, this is called mindfulness of the sense bases. It is the practice of noticing what enters your awareness through your eyes, your ears, your nose, your tongue, your body, and your mind. Every thought that arises comes through one of these doors. When you become aware of which doors are most frequently used by unhelpful thoughts, you gain tremendous power. The great teacher Thich Nhat Hanh often used the analogy of a garden. He said that in every person's mind, there are both wholesome seeds and unwholesome seeds. Seeds of peace, seeds of worry, seeds of joy, seeds of fear. Which seeds grow depends on which ones you water. When you identify your triggers, you are simply recognizing which seeds are being watered and by what. So here is your practice for this week. Carry a small notebook or use your phone. Notice when overthinking arises. Pause for just a moment and ask yourself, what happened right before this thought appeared? What was I doing? Where was I? Who was I with? What time was it? Do not judge what you find. Just observe. Just collect data. You might discover patterns that surprise you. Perhaps your overthinking always appears after you have skipped a meal. Perhaps it arrives when you are physically exhausted. Perhaps it comes when you have been sitting still for too long without moving your body. Perhaps it comes when you are about to do something brave, something that matters deeply to you, and your mind is trying to protect you from potential failure by imagining every possible disaster. Knowledge is power. The Buddha said that understanding the cause of suffering is the second noble truth. It is the beginning of freedom. You cannot solve a problem you do not understand. You cannot close a door you have not found. If this practice of self-discovery resonates with you, if you are ready to become a detective in your own mind, please subscribe to Monk's Temple. We are walking this path together. In our next part, we will explore what to do once you have identified the trigger. We will learn the art of creating space between the trigger and your response. But for now, simply notice. Simply observe. Simply collect your data. You are mapping the territory of your own mind. And every map begins with a single observation. Thank you for sitting with me here at Monk's Temple. In our last time together, we explored the importance of identifying your triggers. You became detectives in your own minds, mapping the territory where overthinking grows. Today, we move to the next essential skill. We learn the art of creating space. Let me share a story about this. There was once a musician named Lena who played the sitar. She had studied for years under a master teacher. One day, during a lesson, her teacher noticed that Lena's playing was technically perfect but emotionally flat. Something was missing. The teacher asked Lena what she was thinking about while she played. Lena admitted that her mind was constantly analyzing. Am I holding the pick correctly? Is my posture right? Did I hit that note perfectly? What will my teacher think? Her mind was so full of thoughts that there was no room for the music itself to flow through her. The teacher smiled and said something Lena never forgot. The notes are not the music. The music lives in the spaces between the notes. If you fill every moment with sound, there is no music. Only noise. This is the secret that the overthinking mind does not understand. The mind wants to fill every moment with thought. It fears silence. It fears emptiness. It fears the space between thoughts because in that space, the mind does not know who it is. But it is precisely in that space that peace resides. In the Buddhist tradition, we call this space cessation. It is the gap between one thought and the next. In that gap, there is no suffering. There is no past. There is no future. There is only presence, only awareness, only the simple fact of being alive. The Buddha described the untrained mind as a monkey swinging through a forest, grabbing one branch, letting it go, grabbing the next, never resting, never still. The monkey mind is always in motion because it is afraid of what might happen if it stops. But the trained mind learns to rest. The trained mind learns to enjoy the space between branches. Let me tell you about a man named David. David was a firefighter. His job required him to rush into burning buildings while everyone else rushed out. He was trained to stay calm in situations that would paralyze ordinary people. But David had a secret. When he was not at work, his mind would not stop. He would replay every call, analyzing whether he had made the right decisions. He would worry about future calls, imagining worst-case scenarios. His mind was always in emergency mode, even when there was no emergency. One day, David came to the monastery and asked for help. A monk listened to his story and then gave him a simple instruction. For the next week, the monk said, whenever you notice yourself thinking, I want you to imagine that your thoughts are written on the surface of a river. Watch them flow by. Do not grab them. Do not analyze them. Just watch them float past and disappear downstream. David tried this. At first, it was impossible. His mind was so used to grabbing every thought that letting them go felt wrong, felt irresponsible. But gradually, he began to notice something. When he stopped grabbing the thoughts, they stopped grabbing him. The space between thoughts began to grow. And in that space, he found a peace he had not felt since childhood. This is the practice we are learning today. When a thought arises, do not immediately engage with it. Do not analyze it. Do not argue with it. Do not try to push it away. Simply notice it. Acknowledge its presence. And then let it go. Imagine it as a cloud passing through a vast sky. The sky does not chase the cloud. The sky does not try to hold on to the cloud. The sky simply allows the cloud to be there and allows it to move on. The great teacher Ajahn Chah used a beautiful analogy. He said the mind is like still water. Thoughts are like fish swimming in that water. If the water is disturbed, if you keep splashing around, you cannot see the fish clearly. You just see chaos. But if you let the water become still, you can observe the fish clearly. You can see them come and go without being troubled by them. Creating space is the art of letting the water become still. It is the practice of allowing thoughts to arise without immediately reacting to them. It is the recognition that you do not have to believe everything you think. You do not have to follow every thought down every path it wants to take. Here is a simple technique you can use right now. Take a breath. As you inhale, notice the sensation of air entering your body. As you exhale, notice the sensation of air leaving. Now, as thoughts arise, simply label them. Thinking. Just say to yourself, thinking. Do not get into the content. Do not argue with the thought. Just notice it as a mental event and return your attention to your breath. This simple practice builds the muscle of awareness. It strengthens your ability to create space. And in that space, you will discover something remarkable. You will discover that you are not your thoughts. You are the awareness that notices them. You are the sky, not the cloud. You are the water, not the fish. You are the space, not the noise. If this practice speaks to you, if you long for more space in your crowded mind, please subscribe to Monk's Temple. We are learning to create space together. In our next part, we will explore how to challenge the thoughts that still manage to hook us. But for now, practice the space. Let thoughts come. Let thoughts go. Rest in the vastness between them. Thank you for sitting with me here at Monk's Temple. We have learned to identify our triggers. We have practiced creating space between thoughts. Today, we explore what to do with the thoughts that still manage to hook us. We learn the art of wise investigation. Let me share a story. There was once a woman named Priya who worked as a journalist. Her mind was her greatest asset and her greatest liability. She could see angles that others missed. She could anticipate how stories would unfold. But this same mind also created endless suffering. Every email from her editor sent her into a spiral. What does he really want? Is he unhappy with my work? Am I about to be fired? One day, Priya was at the monastery, helping to organize the library. She came across an ancient text describing a teaching of the Buddha. The teaching was simple. When a thought arises, ask it 3 questions. Is this thought true? Is this thought kind? Is this thought useful? Priya decided to experiment. The next time her mind began spinning about her editor, she paused and asked the first question. Is this thought true? She realized she had no evidence that her editor was unhappy. She had no proof she was about to be fired. The thought was pure speculation. She asked the second question. Is this thought kind? The thought made her anxious, fearful, small. It was not kind at all. It was cruel. She asked the third question. Is this thought useful? Did worrying about being fired help her do better work? Did it help her sleep at night? Did it improve her relationship with her editor? No. The thought was completely useless. In that moment, something shifted. Priya saw clearly that she had been torturing herself with thoughts that were not true, not kind, and not useful. She had been believing lies her own mind told her. This is the practice of wise investigation. In Buddhist psychology, it is called Dhamma Vicaya, the discernment of truth. It is the ability to examine thoughts critically, to see through their illusions, to recognize when the mind is telling stories rather than reporting facts. The great teacher Shantideva, an 8th century Buddhist master, wrote about this. He said that worries about the future are like attacking an enemy who has not yet arrived. You exhaust yourself fighting a battle that has not even begun. And when the future finally arrives, you are too tired to face it. Let me tell you about a man named Carlos. Carlos was an architect. He designed buildings that would stand for generations. But Carlos had a problem. He could not stop designing disasters in his mind. He would imagine his buildings collapsing. He would imagine clients suing him. He would imagine his career ending in disgrace. Carlos came to the monastery and shared his struggle with a monk. The monk listened and then asked a simple question. Carlos, how many of the buildings you have worried about collapsing have actually collapsed? Carlos thought. None. None have collapsed. The monk nodded. And how many of the disasters you have imagined have actually happened? Carlos realized the answer was also none. His mind had spent thousands of hours imagining disasters that never occurred. The monk smiled gently. Your mind is like a factory that produces products no one wants. It works day and night, exhausting itself, creating things that have no use. Perhaps it is time to shut down the factory. This is the invitation for you today. When you catch yourself in an overthinking spiral, pause. Take a breath. And then investigate. Ask yourself, what is the evidence for this thought? What actual facts support it? Not feelings, not fears, not intuitions, but facts. Ask yourself, what would I tell a dear friend who had this exact thought? Would I agree with their worst fears? Or would I offer them a more balanced perspective? Ask yourself, is this thought helping me or hurting me? Is it moving me toward peace or away from it? Is it solving a problem or creating one? The Buddha taught that the mind is like a double-edged sword. It can cut through confusion, or it can cut us to pieces. The difference lies in how we use it. Wise investigation is the art of using the sword skillfully. Here is a practice for this week. Every time you notice a stressful thought, write it down on a piece of paper. Then, next to it, write down the evidence for and against the thought. Be honest. Be fair. You might be shocked to discover how many of your worries have no foundation in reality. The mind is a master storyteller. It creates dramas, tragedies, thrillers, and horror stories. But you are not required to believe every story it tells. You can be a discerning audience. You can recognize fiction when you see it. If this practice of wise investigation speaks to you, if you are ready to question the stories your mind tells, please subscribe to Monk's Temple. We are learning to see clearly together. In our next part, we will explore the most powerful antidote to overthinking. The antidote is action. But for now, practice investigation. Question your thoughts. See through their illusions. You might discover that the monster you have been running from is nothing more than a shadow. We have mapped our triggers. We have created space between thoughts. We have investigated the stories our minds tell. Today, we arrive at the most powerful antidote to overthinking. We learn the art of taking action. Let me share a story. There was once a young monk named Covey who struggled with doubt. He doubted his abilities. He doubted his path. He doubted whether he belonged in the monastery at all. His mind would spin for hours. Am I good enough? Am I doing this right? What if I fail? What if I waste my whole life? One day, Covey went to the abbot and confessed his suffering. The abbot listened patiently and then gave him a simple instruction. Go to the kitchen. Chop vegetables for the evening meal. Do not think about chopping. Just chop. Covey was confused. He had hoped for deep wisdom, profound teachings. But he went to the kitchen. He picked up a knife. He began chopping carrots. At first, his mind continued its spinning. Am I chopping correctly? Is this the right size? What will the other monks think of my chopping? But gradually, something shifted. The rhythm of the knife. The feel of the vegetables. The simple act of chopping began to quiet his mind. When he finished, the abbot was there. You see, the abbot said. Thinking about chopping never chops a single vegetable. Only chopping chops vegetables. Your mind cannot solve problems it creates. Only action can. This is the essential truth that overthinkers miss. The mind believes that if it thinks hard enough, long enough, thoroughly enough, it will find a solution. But overthinking does not solve problems. It creates them. It takes a small concern and expands it into a catastrophe. It takes a simple question and turns it into an endless maze. The Buddha taught about the danger of what he called papanka, a Pali word that means conceptual proliferation. It is the mind's tendency to take a simple perception and spin it into a complex web of thoughts, associations, judgments, and stories. You see a person frown, and papanka creates an entire novel about why they are angry with you. You make a small mistake, and papanka builds a prison of shame that you will inhabit for years. The only way to cut through papanka is action. Physical, tangible, present moment action. Let me tell you about a woman named Maya. Maya was a writer. She had a book inside her, a book she desperately wanted to write. But every time she sat at her computer, her mind would attack. This will never be good enough. No one will want to read it. You are a fraud. You have nothing original to say. She would sit for hours, writing nothing, thinking everything. One day, a mentor gave Maya different advice. Stop trying to write the book, the mentor said. Just write one sentence. That's all. One sentence about anything. Then stop. Maya tried it. She wrote one sentence. The next day, she wrote another sentence. Within a month, she had pages. Within a year, she had a draft. The book was not perfect. But it existed. And existence is always better than the paralysis of perfectionism. This is the power of small actions. The overthinking mind is overwhelmed by large tasks. It sees the mountain and despairs. But it can handle one step. One small, manageable, doable step. In Buddhist practice, we call this right effort. Not violent, forceful effort, but steady, consistent, gentle effort. The effort of a dripping tap that eventually fills a bucket. The effort of a turtle that eventually crosses the road. The effort of chopping one carrot at a time. Here is what you must understand. Action sends a signal to your brain. It says, we are in control. We are moving forward. We are not helpless. Overthinking keeps you stuck in the passenger seat while your mind drives you in circles. Action puts you back in the driver's seat. Even if you only drive a few feet, you are driving. So what is the one small action you can take today? Is it sending an email you have been avoiding? Is it having a conversation you have been dreading? Is it cleaning one corner of a messy room? Is it writing one sentence? Is it walking for 5 minutes? Do not think about it. Do not plan it. Do not analyze it. Just do it. The thinking mind will object. It will tell you that you need to think more, plan more, prepare more. Do not listen. The thinking mind is terrified of action because action proves it is not in charge. The Buddha said, however many holy words you read, however many you speak, what good will they do you if you do not act upon them? Words without action are like clouds without rain. They promise much but deliver nothing. If this teaching on action resonates with you, if you are ready to move from thinking to doing, please subscribe to Monk's Temple. We are taking action together, one small step at a time. In our next part, we will explore what to do when action alone is not enough. We will learn the courage of seeking help. But for now, find one small action. Take it. Feel the shift. You are no longer just thinking about your life. You are living it. We have walked a long path together. We have learned to identify triggers, create space, investigate thoughts, and take action. Today, we arrive at a teaching that requires tremendous courage. We learn the art of seeking help. Let me share a story. There was once a fisherman named Hero who lived on a small island. He had spent his entire life on the water. He knew every current, every tide, every hidden reef. But one day, a terrible storm blew his boat far out to sea. When the storm cleared, Hero was lost. He could not see land. He could not recognize the stars. For the first time in his life, he did not know where he was. Hero drifted for days. He tried every navigation technique he knew. Nothing worked. He was terrified, ashamed, convinced he should be able to find his own way home. After all, he was the best fisherman on the island. How could he admit he was lost? Finally, weak from hunger and exposure, Hero saw another boat on the horizon. His pride screamed at him to hide, to figure it out himself. But his survival screamed louder. He waved his arms. He called out. The other boat came close. The fishermen on board welcomed him, shared their food, and guided him back to familiar waters. Later, Hiro reflected on this experience. He realized that his pride had almost killed him. His belief that he should be able to solve everything alone was the greatest danger he faced. The storm had not defeated him. His isolation almost did. This is the truth that overthinkers must face. Your mind is a storm, and sometimes it blows you into waters you do not recognize. In those moments, the most skillful thing you can do is wave your arms and call for help. In the Buddhist tradition, we have a word for this. We call it Sangha. It means community, companionship on the path. The Buddha did not teach people to become enlightened alone in caves. He taught them to walk together, to support each other, to hold each other when they could not hold themselves. Let me tell you about a woman named Sarah. Sarah was a therapist herself. She helped others with their anxiety and overthinking. But privately, she was drowning. Her mind would spin for hours every night. She could not sleep. She could not concentrate. She felt like a fraud, helping others with problems she could not solve herself. Sarah believed she should be able to fix herself. After all, she had the training. She had the tools. She had helped hundreds of clients. Why could she not help herself? Finally, a colleague noticed the dark circles under her eyes and asked a simple question. Who is holding you? Sarah had no answer. She had been so focused on holding others that she had forgotten she also needed to be held. With tremendous courage, Sarah reached out to a mentor. She began seeing her own therapist. She joined a support group for mental health professionals. She discovered something surprising. Asking for help did not make her a bad therapist. It made her a human being. This is what you must understand. The mind that creates overthinking cannot think its way out of overthinking. It is like trying to lift yourself by pulling on your own shoelaces. It is impossible. You need something outside the system. You need another perspective. You need another human being. The Buddha said that spiritual friendship is not just part of the path. It is the whole of the path. We need each other. Not because we are weak, but because we are human. Who could you reach out to today? A trusted friend? A family member? A counselor? A support group? A spiritual teacher? The person does not need to have all the answers. They just need to be willing to sit with you in the darkness until the light returns. Here is the truth that will set you free. You are not alone. The statistics tell us that 73% of young adults struggle with chronic overthinking. The faces you see on the street, the people you pass in coffee shops, your colleagues, your neighbors, many of them are fighting the same battle you are fighting. You are not broken. You are not defective. You are human. If this teaching on seeking help resonates with you, if you are ready to stop carrying your burden alone, please subscribe to Monk's Temple. We are a community of fellow travelers, walking this path together. In our final part, we will bring everything together. We will weave all the teachings into a single fabric you can wear every day. But for now, consider this. Who can you call? Who can you tell? Who can you trust with the truth of what is happening inside your mind? The storm does not have to be weathered alone. We have traveled far together. We have explored triggers, space, investigation, action, and the courage of seeking help. Today, we weave all these teachings into a single fabric. Today, we learn the art of integration. Let me share a final story. There was once a weaver named Leela who created the most beautiful fabrics in her village. People traveled from distant towns to buy her work. One day, a young woman came to Leela and asked how she created such masterpieces. Leela showed her the loom, the threads, the patterns. But the young woman was confused. "I see the tools," she said. "But how do you know which thread to use when? How do you know when to pull tight and when to leave slack?" Leela smiled. "At first, I had to think about every movement. I had to remind myself of every technique. But now, after years of practice, the knowledge lives in my hands. I do not think about weaving. I simply weave. The threads and I work together. This is the goal of our practice. Not to constantly think about techniques for stopping overthinking. That would just be more thinking. The goal is to integrate these teachings so deeply that they become automatic, instinctive, like breathing. The Buddha spoke of this as the path of gradual training. He did not promise instant enlightenment. He promised that if you practiced consistently, patiently, gently, the fruits would appear naturally, like a tree bearing fruit in its own time. Let me tell you about a man named James. James had been on this journey for months. He had learned to identify his triggers. He practiced creating space. He investigated his thoughts. He took action. He even joined a support group. But one night, a massive storm hit his mind. An old worry, one he thought he had conquered, returned with full force. James felt like a failure. All that practice, all that progress, and here he was again, drowning in the same thoughts. The next day, he came to the monastery and told a monk about his setback. The monk listened and then asked a simple question. "James, when you were caught in that storm last night, did you recognize what was happening?" James thought. "Yes. I recognized it immediately. I knew I was overthinking. I knew the trigger. I knew the thoughts were not true." The monk smiled. "Then you did not fail. You succeeded. The storm came, and you recognized it. Before your practice, you would have been lost in the storm, believing every thought. Now, even in the midst of it, you knew what was happening. That awareness is your victory. This is the most important teaching you will receive. The goal is not to never have difficult thoughts. The goal is to relate to them differently. The goal is to recognize them quickly, to create space around them, to investigate them wisely, to take action despite them, and to reach out when they overwhelm you. The great teacher Suzuki Roshi said, "Enlightenment is an accident. But practice makes us accident-prone. You will still have storms. But with practice, you will become more and more accident-prone to peace." Here is how you integrate these teachings into daily life. When you wake up, take 3 conscious breaths. Set an intention to notice your triggers today. When a trigger appears, pause. Create space. Label the thought, thinking, and watch it pass. When a thought hooks you, investigate. Ask if it is true, kind, useful. Look for evidence. When you feel paralyzed, take one small action. Send the email. Make the call. Chop one vegetable. When you feel alone, reach out. Call a friend. Talk to a therapist. Come to a community like this one. And when you stumble, when you fall back into old patterns, do not judge yourself. Do not call yourself a failure. Simply notice. Simply begin again. The path is not a straight line. It is a spiral. You will pass through the same places again and again, but each time at a different level. The Buddha's final words were these: all conditioned things are impermanent. Strive on with diligence. He did not say, you have arrived. He said, keep going. The practice never ends. And that is the beauty of it. Every day is a new opportunity to wake up, to begin again, to weave the threads of your life into something beautiful. If this journey has meant something to you, if you want to continue walking this path with others, please subscribe to Monk's Temple. We are here for you, every week, with more teachings, more stories, more reminders that you are the sky, not the storm. Thank you for sitting with me through all these parts. Thank you for your attention, your openness, your courage. The storm will pass. It always does. And the sky remains, vast, clear, and waiting for you to notice it again. Go gently. Go kindly. Go together. Thank you for being here at Monk's Temple. You might have noticed something. We have reached what could have been the end, but here we are, continuing. This is itself a teaching. The path does not end. There is no final destination where you arrive and say, I am done. I have conquered overthinking forever. The mind is alive. It will always generate thoughts. The question is not whether thoughts arise. The question is whether you can meet them with wisdom. Let me share a story about this. There was once a famous archer named Kenji who never missed his target. People came from across the land to watch him shoot. One day, a young student asked him, "What is your secret? How do you never miss?" Kenji invited the student to watch him shoot. He drew his bow, aimed carefully, and released the arrow. It flew straight and true, hitting the center of the target. Then he did it again. And again. 10 times, 20 times, each arrow landing perfectly. The student was amazed. But how? How do you maintain such perfect focus? Kenji smiled and said, I miss all the time. I just do not tell anyone about it. When I miss, I notice where the arrow went. I adjust my aim. I try again. Missing is not failure. Missing is information. The only failure is refusing to shoot another arrow. This is the teaching for today. You will miss. You will fall back into overthinking. You will have days when your mind spins out of control despite everything you have learned. This is not failure. This is information. In the Buddhist tradition, we have a concept called right effort. It is often misunderstood as trying hard, pushing through, forcing yourself to be mindful. But right effort is actually much gentler. It is the effort of returning. It is the effort of beginning again, 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times, without discouragement. Let me tell you about a woman named Elena. Elena was a mother of 3 young children. Her life was chaos. Between school runs, meal preparations, tantrums, and sleepless nights, her mind was constantly spinning. She tried to practice mindfulness, but there was never a quiet moment. She felt like she was failing at practice just as she sometimes felt she was failing at motherhood. Elena came to the monastery and shared her frustration. A nun listened and then asked, "When your child falls and scrapes a knee, what do you do?" Elena said, "I pick them up. I clean the wound. I comfort them. I send them back to play." The nun nodded. "And do you yell at them for falling? Do you tell them they are failures because they got hurt?" Elena laughed. "Of course not. Falling is how children learn to walk." The nun smiled. "Then why do you treat yourself differently? Your mind falls into overthinking. This is how you learn to find peace. Pick yourself up. Clean the wound with self-compassion. And send yourself back into the day. This is the practice of beginning again. It is the most important practice you will ever learn." The great teacher Pema Chodron often speaks about this. She says that the most important moment in meditation is the moment you realize you have been distracted. In that moment, you are awake. In that moment, you have already returned. The fact that you wandered off does not matter. The fact that you noticed and came back, that is the entire practice. So here is your practice for today and for every day. When you catch yourself overthinking, do not add another layer of thinking by judging yourself for overthinking. Do not say, "I am so stupid. I have been practicing for weeks and I am still doing it." Just notice. Just smile. Just begin again. Take a breath. Feel your feet on the floor. Notice the air on your skin. Come back to this moment, right here, right now. The past is gone. The future has not arrived. This moment is all there is. And in this moment, you can choose peace. The Buddha compared the mind to a wild elephant. You cannot tame a wild elephant by fighting it. You tame it by gently, patiently, consistently tying it to a strong post. The post is your breath, your body, the present moment. The elephant will pull and strain at first. But eventually, it will calm down. Eventually, it will stand still beside the post. Not because you fought it, but because you were patient. If this teaching on beginning again resonates with you, if you need permission to be gentle with yourself, please subscribe to Monk's Temple. We are all beginning again, together, moment by moment. In our next part, we will explore something many people overlook. We will explore the relationship between the body and overthinking. The mind does not exist in a vacuum. It lives in a body. And the body holds the keys to the mind's freedom. But for now, practice beginning again. Every time you notice you have wandered, celebrate. You are awake. You are here. You are on the path. We have explored so much together. Triggers, space, investigation, action, seeking help, integration, beginning again. Today, we arrive at a teaching that ties everything together. Today, we explore the relationship between the body and the overthinking mind. Let me share a story. There was once a scholar named Dr. Amit who had spent his entire life in books. He had degrees from the finest universities. He had written papers that changed his field. But Dr. Amit had a problem. His mind never stopped. He would lie awake at night, his brain racing through academic problems, personal worries, philosophical questions. He had tried everything to quiet his mind. Nothing worked. One day, a friend invited Dr. Amit to a meditation retreat at a monastery. Dr. Amit was skeptical. He had read about meditation. He understood the neuroscience. He could explain mindfulness in academic terms. But he agreed to go, thinking he might find material for a new paper. On the first day, the teacher gave a simple instruction. For the next hour, simply walk slowly across this field. Feel your feet touching the ground. Notice the sensations in your legs. When your mind wanders, bring it back to the feeling of walking. Dr. Amit was offended. He had come for deep teachings, profound wisdom, and this teacher wanted him to walk across a field like a child. But he complied. He walked. He felt his feet. He noticed the grass beneath him. And something remarkable happened. For the first time in years, his mind grew quiet. Not because he was thinking about quietness. Not because he was analyzing his thoughts. Simply because he was paying attention to his body. After the walk, Dr. Amit went to the teacher and said, "I do not understand. I have read dozens of books on the mind. I have studied psychology for decades. But in 1 hour of simple walking, I found more peace than in all my years of study. How is this possible?" The teacher smiled. "You have been studying the menu," he said. "Today, you tasted the food. This is the teaching for today. The mind does not exist in a vacuum. It lives in a body. And the body holds wisdom that the thinking mind cannot access." In the Buddhist tradition, we speak of the mind and body as not two separate things. They are interconnected, interwoven, like two sides of a single sheet of paper. You cannot touch one side without touching the other. When the mind is agitated, the body becomes tense. When the body is tense, the mind becomes more agitated. It is a vicious cycle. But here is the good news. The cycle works in both directions. Just as an agitated mind creates a tense body, a relaxed body creates a peaceful mind. You can influence your thinking by working with your body. Let me tell you about a woman named Fatima. Fatima was a lawyer. Her job required her to think critically, to analyze constantly, to anticipate every argument the other side might make. Her mind was a finely tuned machine. But that machine never shut off. Even at home, even on vacation, even lying in bed at night, her mind kept working. Fatima came to the monastery and described her suffering. A monk listened and then gave her a simple practice. 3 times a day, the monk said, "I want you to stop whatever you are doing and take 3 conscious breaths. But not just any breaths. I want you to breathe into your belly. I want you to feel your belly rise and fall. I want you to notice how your shoulders soften, how your jaw relaxes, how your whole body responds to these breaths." Fatima was skeptical. 3 breaths. 3 times a day. How could such a simple practice possibly help? But she was desperate, so she tried it. The first day, she noticed nothing. The second day, she forgot to do it. The third day, she remembered during a particularly stressful moment at work. She stopped. She took 3 breaths into her belly. She felt her shoulders drop. She felt her jaw unclench. And in that moment, the racing thoughts slowed down. Just for a moment. But that moment was enough to show her that another way was possible. Over weeks and months, this simple practice transformed Fatima's relationship with her mind. She learned that she did not have to argue with her thoughts. She could simply breathe. She could simply bring awareness to her body. And the thoughts, having lost their audience, would often fade away on their own. The great teacher Thich Nhat Hanh offered a simple teaching about this. He said, "Feelings come and go like clouds in a windy sky. Conscious breathing is my anchor. When the storm of thoughts rages, your body is your anchor. Your breath is your anchor. The feeling of your feet on the ground is your anchor." Here is why this works from a scientific perspective. The thinking mind, the part that overanalyzes and worries, lives primarily in the neocortex, the newest part of the brain. But the body and the breath are connected to older, more primitive parts of the nervous system. When you bring attention to the body, you activate the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest response. This directly counteracts the fight or flight response that fuels overthinking. When you feel your feet on the ground, when you notice the air moving in and out of your lungs, when you sense the weight of your body in your chair, you are literally sending a signal to your brain that says, "I am safe. I am here. There is no emergency." And the brain, receiving this signal, begins to calm down. So here is your integrated practice, bringing together everything we have explored. When you notice a trigger, pause and take a body breath. Feel your feet. When you create space between thoughts, anchor that space in the sensation of breathing. When you investigate thoughts, do it from a place of physical groundedness. When you take action, let your body lead. Let your body remind you that you are here, now, alive. When you seek help, let your body be present with another body. Let the physical experience of being with another human being remind you that you are not alone. When you begin again, begin with a breath, a sensation, a return to the body. The Buddha taught mindfulness of the body as the foundation of all mindfulness practice. He said that the body is the first and most accessible teacher. It is always here, always present, always offering us an opportunity to come home. If this teaching on the body speaks to you, if you are ready to anchor your mind in the wisdom of your physical presence, please subscribe to Monk's Temple. We explore these teachings together, week by week, breath by breath. As we close this long journey together, I want to leave you with one final thought. You are not broken. You do not need to be fixed. The tendency to overthink is not a flaw in your character. It is a feature of the human mind, a mind that evolved to keep you safe by anticipating danger. The problem is not that you have this tendency. The problem is that you have not yet learned how to work with it skillfully. But now you have tools. You have practices. You have stories to remind you. You have a community to support you. The path is here, waiting for you to walk it, one step at a time, one breath at a time, one moment at a time. The storm will come again. It always does. But now you know that you are the sky. The storm cannot touch the sky. It can only pass through. And after every storm, the sky remains, clear, vast, and luminous. Thank you for walking this path with me. Thank you for your attention, your openness, your courage. Thank you for being part of Monk's Temple. Go gently. Go kindly. Go together. May you be peaceful. May you be happy. May you be free.